Okay, welcome everyone, and welcome to this webinar with Titan and Arcserve. Today, I'm joined by Carl Fontanari and Carl Green, who will basically run through some of the latest updates from Arcserve, run through some of the key highlights of the partner program and how to use those to your benefit, and run through a few new innovations from the team at Arcserve. So with that, I'll hand over to Carl. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, then you can pop the questions into the Q&A and we'll answer those at the end. All right, over to you, Carl. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Gavin. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, as Gavin said, this is an update for our Q2, which runs in line with the calendar year. Only a couple of weeks left, but we'll take you through what the updates are. So if I go on, my name's Carl Fontanari, as Gavin has said. I'm a territory account manager for Arcserve, covering the Midlands and South, and I have a colleague up in Scotland who obviously would do the North. Carl Green is one of our technical sales engineers. He's on hand if there's any questions that I can't answer of a technical nature, and Carl can just interject as and when required as we run through the slides. Okay, so there's our details. Slides will be available after the presentation if you then want to have our contact details and review the content at your leisure. But I think Gavin has said also that this presentation will be available for viewing to be streamed if you can't make it or wish to, again, view it at your leisure. Okay, so the agenda, 3 topics really. The latest product updates from ourselves at Arcserve, the Lightning program. There's been some good updates to that. So what is it? Why is it relevant to you? We'll talk about that. And then we've got some promotions and incentives. Some do end in a couple of weeks. You've got to be quick. But I'll take you through that. And yeah, and that's really the agenda. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Arcserve, or just to kind of refresh as to who we are, we've been around for over 40 years. I think we started in '83. We were called originally Cheyenne Software. We got acquired after that by Computer Associates, and we were part of their massive portfolio for a few decades. And then about 15 years ago or so, we were sold off, and we're now just Arcserve, so independent. So we're probably one of the oldest backup recovery organizations. We are global, obviously headquartered in the US. We've got about 150,000 customers and growing. We have a lot of channel partners, as you can see. We are totally channel focused. We don't do anything direct. And you can see how many countries we are in, pretty much all of them. But we've got big hubs in the US, EMEA, India, Japan, etc. So that's a little bit of background about who we are and where we've come from. So this slide talks about the trends within cybersecurity. It's a Gartner slide, as you can see. Obviously, transformation is, one of the big topics that many organizations are still working towards, moving from, on-prem to cloud or becoming hybrid. And clearly now with the developments in AI, how does that sort of integrate with that, and what are the areas that businesses are looking at from an AI perspective? Obviously, it's here to help people and make lives easier and make us more effective and efficient and predictive and whatever, preemptive even. But then obviously, tapered with the cyber threats that are clearly ongoing. The latest you've probably seen in the press were around retail. They got hit a lot recently. The Co-op and Harrods and Marks and Spencers and I think Cartier, but many others. So the threats are just beginning to become more and more sophisticated, and obviously, unfortunately, there are good and bad sides to AI. Clearly, AI within the realms of cyber is going to, just manifest itself in very strange ways. So it's very unfortunate. So, what we offer is really, I guess, the last line of defense, so in a worst case scenario, you've got to trust your backups, and we'll talk about what we do to ensure that your backups are safe and protected. Busy old slide, this one. So, this is us on one piece of paper, I guess. So we basically help with governance and compliance and policy-based requirements, be that, GDPR, NIS2, another, regulatory requirements. That's one of the boxes that we help organizations tick. But, our core capabilities are in the middle here around backup, protection, and recovery. Backup's been around for a long time. Clearly started, just backing up onto tape, and now, we back up pretty much onto anything, including still tape. And introducing things like dedupe and compression, because the amount of data that's been generated a few years back, it was all about the Internet of Things, and that's generating a lot of data. Now it's all about AI and how that's creating these massive, what they call LLMs, large language modules. So the amount of data that's been generated is just growing and growing, and there's always reports about the exponential growth. So, how do you deal with that? Where do you back it up to? How do you ensure it's, protected? One of the big words in the industry around what we offer is immutability. We'll talk about that because, your backups are your last line of defense. And if they are compromised, then, you're in a really painful place. So, we'll talk about how we assure that you've got that in place, so you're not, so if you are compromised, you can recover. And obviously what we do also offer is disaster recovery. So, it's not just about backup and recovering your data, but it's been able to recover your environment so that you can spin up your VMs in whatever flavor you've got them in, be they Windows or Linux, so that you've got the complete, capability to recover. And we hit that with various products, as you can see around the periphery of the slide, with our flagship product called UDP, Unified Data Protection, RHA, which is our replication capability. We do a lot of stuff, obviously, in the cloud, SaaS backup, M365, Google, Salesforce, things like that. We'll talk about that. We also have appliances, which are very popular. We'll talk about that, where you've basically got everything in a box, set it up, leave it, it's there, and so forth. So you can see, really on that single busy slide, we pretty much tick all the boxes across your entire data protection strategy. Okay. So if we move on. So yeah, UDP, we're now on version 10. Well, I think it's 10.1. 10.2 is just around the corner. So this is, as I've said, our flagship. It's been around for obviously many iterations, being version 10. And it's been highly regarded by various analysts, including Jerome Bentley from DCIG. It's an enterprise grade product, but dare I say this, we sell it for SMB money. So you're basically getting the best of both worlds. You're getting world-class enterprise protection at a very affordable price. Okay, that's my sort of elevator pitch. So what are the latest enhancements to this? Well, malware detection. We use Microsoft Defender, which is now a very excellent tool to scan your backups for anomalies and alert you if there's an issue, to ensure that your backups are clean, because it's all well and good that you back up, but if you're trying to recover from a backup and it's compromised, then that's basically just throwing more petrol on the fire, if you will. And obviously the good news is that you can then integrate that into things like Sentinel, which is Microsoft SIEM product. So you've got then a nice holistic view of your entire environment from a cyber perspective. Disaster recovery, we obviously include that. There are various flavors to our UDP offering, so you get more functions with the three flavors that we offer around UDP. So the ability to fully recover and spin up, as I've just mentioned. The data resilience piece, we'll talk about that in a moment. Cloud, we now offer the ability to replicate from an on-prem environment to, a hyperscaler or indeed our own cloud. And that cloud now comes with an immutability capability. So if you're really paranoid, you can have the principle that we call 3-2-1-1, 3 copies on 2 media, 1 off-site and 1 immutable. So, you've got a lot of recoverability. So if you are compromised, you've got many options to recover from. Our management portal has been hailed as being very simple to use. Again, if you've got any questions, Carl's on hand to answer that. We've obviously hardened security with the ongoing zero trust innovations that we implement. And obviously the operational efficiency is really around our, things like dedupe and compression. We can give up to 3-to-1. So if you're throwing it onto a cloud where you're paying for storage, we reduce that footprint. So you're not paying as much. So very cost effective. So yeah, there's sort of some of the key features of UDP. And that is, and it became available on the 30th of April. And as I say, you've got enhanced cloud storage support, the cyber resilient piece, which I'll talk about. Therefore, it basically, mitigates, I guess, the concern about ransomware, because it not only makes it immutable if you're in the cloud, but also it's encrypted. So, you really can't get much more resilient than that. And obviously we support both Windows and various Linux agents, and it's just ongoing. Okay, so that's basically 10.1. So the cloud storage, we've had cloud storage for quite a while. It's our own cloud platform, but we support other cloud platforms like AWS, Google, and Microsoft Azure. But yeah, with our cloud storage, as I say, we give the ability to ensure that we make the data as as deduped as possible. So you get that sort of up to 3-to-1 ratio in terms of dedupe. We offer object level versioning control to further reduce the footprint. Snapshots as often as you like, really, and these can be obviously optimized, and we obviously tune VM data store to maximize the deduplication on that basis. Okay, I am running through these, so any questions, please ask. Carl is on hand. The big news actually is now that we offer another flavor of our cloud storage. We call it cyber resilient storage, basically immutability. And effectively, you're getting the ability, it's like Worm back in the day, write once, read many, or, burning a CD or whatever it might be, that once it's written, it can't be changed. And it's also encrypted, as I said, so that, you've got the best protection and resilience that you can have possible, so that if you were backing up locally and then you're replicating to this resilient cloud capability, that in the worst case scenario, you've always got a copy that is clean because it's been scanned. It's immutable, so it hasn't been tampered with, and it's encrypted, so no one can read it unless it's decrypted with the usual decryption keys. So yeah, I mean, really, I don't think you can get much better than that. And the other thing is actually we still allow tape. So we still have many clients who actually plug a tape drive, tape library, into the back of one of our appliances with a HBA card. And sometimes, their RTO, RPO expectations are good enough to use tapes. The tape's not dead. It's still got a long life, separate discussion for another day. But because of our legacy in the marketplace, we pretty much support all tape technologies, libraries like Quantum and tape technology like LTO. So yeah, we give you pretty much a world of choice with regards to how you want to be resilient, from traditional tapes to cyber resilient cloud storage. Okay, so that's really the resilient piece in cloud. That's just a quick schematic. Basically, the center part is you can buy our software either as an appliance, which we can provide, or you buy it as software and you run it on your own server with storage. And essentially your file servers, your application servers are backed up on that basis with a management console where you set policies and you can review what you're backing up, how you're backing it up, when you back it up, etc. And that then resides, as I say, on one of our appliances or on a server with our UDP software running on that. And then we set up recovery points, and that then enables you to push that out to the cloud, or we have coming down the line, can't make you aware too much yet, other products that give you additional resilience, and we'll leave that topic for another day. But basically, we've got you covered in every way, shape, or form, be that on-prem, in the cloud, or whatever hybrid model you choose. Here's some more information. As I say, these slides will be available. So we have our leaders, Chris Babel and Michael, in there talking. Chris is our CEO. Michael is our CPO, a Chief Product Officer, I think, probably. But they talk about the launch of UDP 10 and what that means for clients and indeed partners in the market. It's a good thing to talk about to customers, especially if they're coming up to, renew their backup strategy. Backup often gets forgotten about, which is why cyber threats are, as where they are, because, if you haven't reviewed your backup strategy for a number of years, does it still do what you want? Is it cyber resilient? Is it still fit for purpose? These are the things that you can speak to clients about to see what their strategies and their timelines are. And we often find that, what was fit for purpose, 5 years ago, not that long ago, sort of COVID days, it's like yesterday, isn't really, applicable today because things have moved on, right? So it's a good video to watch. There's a resource center on our website. So there's lots of downloads, books, white papers, product information. There's on-demand webinars that talk about both UDP, cyber resilient storage. We always have lots of blogs. I'm a blogger, so I post a lot of these on LinkedIn anyway, so you can read that on there. Look at my profile. There's even courses. So we've done all the courses that you can imagine so that you get up to speed. Some of that will be required if you want to be a high level partner. We'll talk about the various levels within the Lightning partner program in a minute. And yeah, if you want any more information, demonstration, we run lots of proof of concepts, etc. Please feel free to get in touch. Okay. So the next slide is all about the new 10,000, or we call them 10K appliances. So basically, as I've just mentioned, these are effectively a backup and DR product in a box based on Supermicro technology. And they come in various flavors, as you can see. We have them start with, I really talk about the usable capacity. So they start from 16 terabytes going up to 192. They're in a 2U form factor, so plenty of space in a rack. And you can see the various other technical specifications in terms of CPU, RAM, etc. Lots of options in terms of putting in additional cards, be that fiber, be that host bus adapters for attaching things like tape libraries, or other cards because they have traditional PCI slots. Also, we've just released the smaller 1U appliances, so these can be priced up now, very cost effective. So there are many companies that have bought competitive appliances that give the ability to do everything in a box. And if you're selling into small businesses, these are very appealing because you've got the software, you've got the DR, you've got everything in the box. So that and that box with UDP can then replicate out to another box, cloud, as I've just mentioned, and so, if you're speaking to organizations that are reviewing what they currently have, then there's a lot of options to look at, and they are very fast now because we use a lot more SSD, which means that building indexes and boot up times make them a lot quicker. So I'd love to have a chat with you and your clients about this technology and how it enables them to be more resilient and the ability to bounce back really fast if they need to. Okay, so these are the appliances. This is just a quick slide. I wasn't sure if I was going to show this, but the previously to the 10Ks, there were the 9Ks and 9,000, and then previous to the 9,000, we have 8,000s. And we still have customers in the 8,000s, although we'd like them to move. But it's probably testimony to the resilience of the technology and the software that we provide that some people still do that. The software still comes either as perpetual, still very popular in government. So you buy the products, you own the software, but then you have to obviously pay for maintenance annually, which gets you 24/7 support and patching and upgrades and so forth. But we offer both subscription and perpetual, depending on what the client wants to do and who they are. Say government still like perpetual for budgeting annually. Other organizations, the world is subscription based, so that option obviously exists as well. But essentially, if you're on the on column, is it D, then that's a bit of a risk. And if you move back from that, you can see that, reducing that. We always recommend you really need to, like any operating system, any application, any utility, you've got to make sure that patching is up to date, let alone getting support so that you don't have any issues or compromises. But essentially, that's what that slide is showing. Ignore the costs because they are just indicative at this stage. On to promotions. So the first one is switch and save. So it ends in 2 weeks. So yeah, get your skates on. So what's this about? Effectively, I mentioned earlier, if you've got a client who's using a competitive product, and they're coming up for renewal, sometimes those renewal costs can be quite eye-watering. And what we're saying here is that if we get visibility of what that renewal cost is from a competitive product, there's a good chance that will be significantly less. And we're saying that up to 50% off the renewal price could be achieved if we were to have visibility of what that renewal is. And then we could provide an alternative quote to say, look, there's your renewal cost. Here's an Arcserve proposal, which is significantly less than that renewal cost, with all the feature functionality that I've just mentioned. So, if they bought something and they've had 5 years or whatever the competitive product is, then is it still fit for purpose? Will it do all the things that we now offer? And you can have it for a lot less money, right? So, worth speaking to competitive seeing if they're now coming up for a review of their licensing for whatever the competitive product might be, and give us visibility, and we'll see what we can do. Now that promotion does run till the 30th of June, but if you can let me know, then there's some incentives also to effectively register those opportunities with us, which I'll come on to. Caveats to that are that the software from a competing vendor has to be over £5,000. So the renewal has to be over 5,000 or there or thereabouts. We're a little bit flexible over that. And these are effectively new clients. So they can't be existing Arcserve customers. It's only applicable to new clients, or indeed, if they were an Arcserve customer previously, but they haven't been in the last 12 months. So basically, if a few years back we lost them for whatever reason, they went with the competitive products because they thought it would be better or cheaper or whatever, and now they realise perhaps that the errors of their ways, and they want to revisit, or they've never dealt with us, and so therefore that could be refreshing. I've always said that we're not as well known as some of the competitors out there, and that's actually not a bad thing because if you've got a competing vendor, everybody's selling the same technology. Every partner's selling the same one, right? So you've got maybe 5 partners selling the same manufacturer's technology. When with Arcserve, there's a good chance you'll only be selling Arcserve, and therefore you'll be then competing against the other 4. So that could give you a differential, not just in terms of feature functionality, but also in terms of price. So if you're saying, well, we sell this competing technology, we're not interested in Arcserve, it's worth looking at that because obviously we'll come on to some of the reasons why. The other thing that it covers is not just UDP, but our continuous availability, our replication capability, and our traditional Arcserve backup, which is to tape. So it covers all those software products. Unfortunately, the appliances are not eligible. So if you have an opportunity, it would be for UDP software, not for our appliance running UDP. And also it's not applicable to the cloud storage that I mentioned on that basis, but everything else it is. So hopefully that makes sense. Any questions, get in touch. But that is the first program. And there's also, again, a landing page to register, further terms and conditions. There's tutorials, and there's the promo code that would need to be used, which we would put in for you. Okay, so the next one is around our M365 protection for UDP. Now, this program actually ends at the end of December, so 6 months or so to go. And what is this about? Well, effectively, prior to version 10 or 10.1 of UDP, version 9 or previous, customers were able to back up their M365 environment. But we as a company decided that we wanted to shift emphasis of how they do that. So we actually, within 10, have now retired that functionality, and that now exists as a separate product that is a pure cloud play. So basically, our SaaS backup is exactly that. It backs up, it's a cloud to cloud, and it does it for M365. It does it for other applications, as I mentioned, like Google, Salesforce, and some pretty cool features. It enables the client to back up their tenancy to another cloud location, our cloud location, separate physical location in the UK. Again, the data is backed up and held in an immutable encrypted manner. There's no ingress egress charges. The data can be held for up to 99 years. It also does Enter ID backup, which we never did with our own integrated feature within UDP 9. So there's a ton of features. Again, I won't go into any more detail, but if you have any more questions about that, then Carl's on hand to answer that. Otherwise, we're always happy to have a call. But what we're saying here is because we discontinued that functionality within UDP, and we've introduced it effectively as a separate product, we are giving an incentive for customers that won't have that capability when they switch to UDP 10. And obviously we will look at each case on a case by case basis to give them an incentive to take that more advanced, more much higher feature rich capability from this new offer that we have. Okay. So yeah, and that runs, I think, is it saying here 15th of October? Okay, so still some time. So really, that is what we are saying around the protection for M365. Okay, on to the Lightning program. We have changed this quite a bit. As mentioned earlier, we only transact through channel partners. So, and obviously via Titan. And yeah, we have nothing direct that I'm aware of. And it's testimony to the fact that there's only me and another person, Nicola, in Scotland. There's only 2 of us commercially in the UK. Oh, we actually have a third person as well. But but we effectively, because of the fact that we are so reliant on partners and we're so focused, there's only two of us, right? So we're pretty busy, but it's you guys that bring us everything, which we're always grateful for. Yeah, and we do get people via our website, customers, and we're always looking for new partners to work with on that basis to maybe work those opportunities through, unless they have a preferred partner already. Yeah, just a quick note on that. So yeah, membership to become a partner, pretty straightforward, really. This application on our website, you can go by the distributor. But yeah, in order to get the various things that we offer, which I'll come on to, you do need to be registered, and there are 3 levels to becoming a partner, and we can go through them. So basically, an associate, you just sign a form, you're a partner. Premier, you need to make some commitments, which we'll talk about, and then elite is further commitments. But then obviously, if you're making those commitments to us, we'll make our commitments to you, and they come in various flavors, from additional discounting through to other things that we provide, like marketing development funds and so forth. So there are reasons why you might want to consider going up the tierage from just an associate level, as we talk about that. And there is just a quick snapshot of the 3 levels: associate, premier, and elite. So yeah, what we're saying is that as an associate, you get a base discount of 10, premier 20, and elite 25. And then deal registration, it's a first come, first serve. It's the same for anyone, right? We offer 10% on top of your base discount. So effectively, you can see that if you bring us something, we will give you your base, obviously, plus the deal registration. And you can also then work out that if you're not a premier or elite, you might find that as an associate, if a premier then doesn't get a deal reg, you're on the same keel, and elite obviously will be slightly higher. So yeah, it's worth considering maybe looking at premier or even elite status. But as I say, that will come with some commitments both ways. And you can see the program elements that you get in terms of, as you move up the partner status, that we will support and assist with on that basis. And there's just and then these are the prerequisites. So yeah, associate, like I said, you just sign the partner agreement and the channel rules of engagements. And then obviously, if you want to become a premier or elite, it's category A. I don't know if we even got category B in there for other countries, but we expect you to do X amount of business, and obviously have certified sales and technical capability as well. And then obviously we work with you in terms of a developing a business plan, and obviously we work with Titan to work how we can help you grow your business with us, and then we put that into action. So that's pretty straightforward. If you want to understand more or have a discussion, please let me know. Okay. And finally, that is a slide just showing the links again, data sheet, more about the program, and further contact details. So that's the Lightning program. Hope that makes sense. So if you are bringing us opportunities, as I've just mentioned, then we want to give you some rewards. Now, as I say, it only runs till the 30th, so you've got a couple of weeks. So let me tell you about it. So effectively, this is called our Power Up Your Pipeline. So if the deal's over £5,000 or there or thereabouts, and you give us a deal registration that we accept, you get £25. I don't know how we give that out, if that's Amazon vouchers or something else. Points make prizes, I don't know. But you get 25. And if you close a deal within 90 days after you register it with us. Then if the deal's worth, this is total contract value, if it's worth between 5 to 999, you get 50, and for over 10,000, you get 100. So yeah, if you register it and you close it, you can earn an extra 125. I've got a number of partners that have already done this. They're not silly. So, whatever the commission you earn on the margin that you make on the deal, plus you get an extra 125 quid to boot. It's not to be sniffed at. So, yeah, very easy. Easy one. There's 1, 2, 3. There's the code, which again we'll put in for you on that basis. And then once it's approved, you'll get your initial reward, and as it's closed, you get your additional reward. So that's the Power Up pipeline. Well, I whizzed through that, guys. That's getting on for nearly 40 minutes. I don't know if there's any questions. Carl is on hand to answer anything.
Yeah, nothing yet. Nothing yet. So I must be honest, just now, anyway. But I will say that thanks, Carl, for doing that. That was really good, covering all that content. And yeah, what we'll say is that the cyber resilient storage, and you did mention this anyway, but I just want to recap on this. Is we do run trials of that now. Yeah, so if you wasn't aware, you can get a 30-day trial on the cyber resilient storage and plug it into UDP Cloud Console. All right, so anyone wants to see Cloud Console, happily have another session with you guys offline with that. There are boot camps as well coming up, so you can register for the boot camps. You'll find them on the website anyway. You can register for them, and I do show for an hour. I do show the Cloud Console and how you can get set up and get ready to use that. It is multi-tenanted as well, so keep your eyes open for that if you want to know more information, or we can do one-to-one sessions as well. Okay.
Thank you both. There's a couple of questions that have been sent in the registration field.
Okay.
The customer the partner, is looking to identify the right customers for backup and DR. Who are the best targets from your experience?
Wow. Good question. It's more about, what profiling the customer or the market, or the vertical. Okay. Yeah, it's a good one. So most of our business is in the S&B space, Gavin, So I think enterprise we'd like, obviously. But the best customers are probably the ones, like I said earlier, that haven't reviewed their backup and recovery for several years. Okay. It's like security, it used to be an afterthought. And now everybody's talking about zero trust, that it's built in. So I think the best customers are the ones that haven't reviewed it for a while. I would also, every customer will sign up. We sign customers up for 1, 3, 5 years. So again, if they're coming up for a review or a renewal, then we have that excellent initiative where we can reduce that renewal price, but them switching, to what we offer. So I think that it's just worth going out there and asking a customer, when did you last review your backup and recovery and your DR? Is it fit for purpose? Has it got resilience? Is it immutable? Are your RPO, RTOs acceptable? Classic kind of questions, really, if that helps.
Yep. No, perfect. Thank you. The next one is, which cloud services does the Arcserve UDP support?
Thanks, Carl.
Okay. Yeah. So good question. What we do now is with our cloud console, we can hook in to other clouds, third-party clouds, as you say, and we support Arcserve cloud storage. Yeah, we do. Arcserve cloud storage is supported. We support Azure blobs. We support Wasabi and Google Cloud and Amazon, of course, right? But there's a key caveat with that. So we have a really good dedupe engine that we can transfer into those clouds, right? So you can start saving on space when you go to those clouds. But when we talk about cyber resilient storage, we're talking about immutability. All right. And at the moment, our cloud, or rather our data store, our dedupe data store, when you want to have that immutable, that will only support the Arcserve cloud storage currently. because we've engineered it to work with our object lock technology at the back end. But if you don't need immutability in those clouds, then yeah, we support all the others as well, but without immutability. Right. Just to let you know, I've been talking about the cloud console, but we have an on-prem console as well, and that will be upgraded to work with third-party cloud as well. So Azure Blobs, all the ones I've mentioned before, that will all work with the on-prem console, and we'll have a version update. So we're looking at 10.2. It's currently on 10.1. 10.2 is expected to be released around the end of July, and then that will bring with it the possibility of having Arcserve Cloud Console working with the on-prem console and all the other ones as well, the other third-party clouds. And then there'll be a 10.3 not too long after that as well. Okay, just so you know.
Cool. Thank you.
So a lot going on this year. A lot going on with agile releases. Yeah.
And the final question, this partner's got lots of customers who are rightly so obsessed with compliance. Are the products in line with the frameworks in the UK, such as GDPR?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Carl, do you want to?
Well, no, it's just yeah, absolutely. Any compliance angle, when we talk about immutability as well, we've got compliance around, well, we are compliant with many frameworks, and IST, National Cybersecurity Centre, Cyber Essentials, the 3-2-1-1, as we say, is covered in all of those, and we cover that with the product as well. In our SaaS solution, SaaS backup solution, it does go one step further around GDPR compliance, because we have a feature that aligns to the right to erasure in the GDPR. So we actually call it the right to be forgotten. So in that product, you can actually tag messages, documents, objects, so that they cannot be restored, by accident. Yeah.
Bro, thank you. That's all the questions that I've got from my side. So yeah, I think if there aren't any more questions, we can end the webinar there.